This presentation covers the different parts and movements of the ship. You may be familiar with nearly all the terminology you'll see here today, and it's important to be able to remember what these terms and phrases are referencing. Some important terms regarding a ship's measurements are breadth, which is the greatest width of the vessel, usually measured in the center or amidships. LOA, or length overall, the total length of the ship from the bow to the stern. Draft, the depth of the ship in water or the vertical distance from the bottom of a floating ship to the waterline. Freeboard, the height to the main deck of the ship from the waterline. UKC, under keel clearance, this is the vertical distance between the seabed and the bottom of the ship. Air draft, which is the vertical distance of the highest point on the ship from the waterline. The foremost point of the ship is the bow. The most aft part of the ship is called the stern. Here you see the foredeck, the superstructure, and the aft deck. Here you see the hull, the mainmast, and the funnel. Here you can see the radar scanner, the wheelhouse, and a lifeboat. Here is the winch, the windlass, the bollard, and the anchor. The foxhole is a raised part of the foredeck near the bow. And the keel is the bottom of the ship. Here you see the freeboard. This is the part of the hull that is above the water. Freeboard measurements are usually given in meters, for example, 6 meters or 10 meters, which means that 6 meters of the hull or 10 meters of the hull is above water. The more cargo the ship is carrying, the less the freeboard will be. For example, a ship carrying little cargo may have a freeboard of 15 meters, but the same ship fully loaded with cargo may have a freeboard of 6 meters. The draft. The part of the hull that is below the water is called the draft. Draft is usually measured in meters, for example, 5.6 meters or 17.3 meters, which means that 5.6 meters of the hull is below the water, or 17.3 meters of the hull is below the water. The more cargo the ship is carrying, the greater the draft. For example, a ship carrying little cargo may have a draft of 6 meters, and the same ship fully loaded may have a draft of 12 meters. Foredeck. The deck of a ship from the accommodation to the forecastle is called the foredeck. A propeller is usually made of a metal compound and has blades. When the ship's engine turns the propeller shaft, the propeller turns and drives the ship ahead. On some ships, the propeller shaft, and therefore the propeller, can turn in the opposite direction, causing the ship to go astern. In other ships, the propeller keeps turning in the same direction, but if the ship should need to go astern, the angle of the blades can be altered to change the propulsion, causing the ship to go astern. This is called a variable pitch propeller. There are other forms of propulsion that are used in some ships: multi-directional propulsion, such as the Voith-Schneider system, azipods, sometimes linked to a dynamic positioning system. When the ship needs to turn, the rudder turns to port or to starboard in response to the ship's steering mechanism. The ship then turns in that direction. A ship is navigated from the wheelhouse, and steering is usually done by an automatic system, unless the ship is approaching a harbor in narrow waters or maneuvering in the harbor while being hand-steered. Cranes are used to lift cargo. You will see that there are 2 sets of cranes close together. These are designed to work either on their own or cooperatively. We call this system of cranes working in tandem. The lifting capacity nearly doubles if cranes are working in tandem. Some older ships have derricks that lift cargo. This is the crane jib. Here you see hatch covers. The lid over the hold ensures that water does not enter the hold. On this ship, containers or other deck cargo can be stowed atop the hatch covers. The foremast is the mast that is located towards the bow of the ship. It usually has a special light that is shown at night, as well as the ship's foghorn, which is blown during poor visibility to warn other ships of this ship's presence. In some ships, there is no main engine, but several powerful generators. The electricity generated is used to drive the propeller shaft and therefore the propeller. The propeller shaft is a steel shaft to which the propeller is fixed. Load line is a special mark on the side of the ship indicating the level to which the ship may be loaded. Monkey Island, which is the deck above the wheelhouse. Hold, the place where cargo is kept on the ship. This ship has 5 holds in which cargo can be stowed. In ships that carry liquid cargoes, the holds are tanks in which the liquid cargo is carried. These ships are referred to as tankers. The tween deck, a deck inside the hold where cargo can be stowed. Lower hold, the lower part of the hold where cargo can be stowed. The forepeak tank is used to stow liquid cargo or fresh water or ballast water. Ballast water is seawater that is used to trim or level the ship. This is the engine room. The ship's engines, generators, and other machinery are located here. The engines turn the propeller shaft, which is attached to the propeller. The generators generate electricity that is used for lighting, air conditioning, electronic systems, cranes, pumps, refrigeration, and a number of other necessary systems. Let's take a look at the general shipboard directions. Here you see amidships in the longitudinal or fore and aft center of the ship, halfway between the bow and the stern. The term is used to convey the idea of general locality, but not that of definite extent. Outboard is a direction away from the center of the ship. Inboard is towards the center line of a ship. Athwartships is the direction across the ship, at right angles to the center line. Onboard positions. When on board a ship, you may need to describe the position of one object relative to another, and correct terminology is absolutely necessary. Abaft. The funnel is abaft the mainmast. The funnel is more towards the stern than the mainmast. Aft. In the diagram, the accommodation is aft, or near the stern. If a person is up the mast, they are aloft. Below, the wheelhouse is below the Monkey Island. If someone has gone from one deck to a lower deck, they say he has gone down below. Down aft. A person at B is down aft. They are very close to the stern. Forward. The main mast is forward of the funnel. The main mast is more towards the bow than the funnel. Midships. The middle point on the ship, shown at H on the diagram. Thwartships. This is something that lies across the ship. For example, a thwartship's bulkhead runs from the port side of the ship to the starboard side. Up forward. A person at sea is up forward, or very close to the bow. How to describe the position of another object in relation to your vessel. When on board a ship, you may need to describe the position of an object from the ship, for example, a lighthouse or another ship. The following terms are used in that circumstance. A, off the port quarter. F, off the starboard quarter. B, a beam or off the port beam. G, a beam or off the starboard beam. C, off the port bow. H, off the starboard bow. E, ahead, and D, astern. Here you can see the 6 motions to which a ship can be subjected. These are also known as the 6 degrees of freedom. The 6 general types of ship motions. The 6 types of wave action motions are constantly applied to the ship in varying degrees as it travels across the water. This complex interaction of motions is why sailors often find it difficult to walk on deck. Ship motions occur along the vertical, transverse, or longitudinal axis, or around the ship's center of gravity. They are made up of 3 lateral movements and 3 rotations. The 6 ship motions are pitch, which is a transverse rotation, roll, which is a longitudinal rotation, heave, which is a vertical movement, surge, which is a longitudinal movement, yaw, which is a vertical rotation, and sway, which is a transverse movement. Standard marine communication phrases. These are used when giving positions. When latitude and longitude are used, these shall be expressed in degrees and minutes, and decimals of a minute if necessary, north or south of the equator, and east or west of Greenwich. For example, warning, dangerous wreck in position 15 degrees, 34 minutes, north 061 degrees, 29 minutes west. When the position is related to a mark, the mark shall be a well-defined charted object. The bearing shall be in the 360 degrees notation from true north and shall be that of the position from the mark. Example, your position bearing 137 degrees from Big Head Lighthouse, distance 2.4 nautical miles. The following is a list of important vocabulary this presentation has covered. Bow, stern, foredeck, aft deck, superstructure, hull, main mast, funnel, radar scanner, wheelhouse, winch, windlass, anchor, bollard, keel, freeboard, draft, propeller, rudder, crane, crane jib, foremast, bow thruster, hatch cover, hold, tween deck, lower hold, load line, forepeak tank, Monkey Island, ahead, astern, rolling, pitching, yawing.